Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're taking a look today at the new Amazon Fire HD 10. This is the largest tablet that Amazon makes. It's kind of their flagship device, and we're going to dive into all of its features here in just a second and also give you some guidance on all the different versions that they offer in this thing as well. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for this with my own funds. All of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this review, nor has anyone reviewed or approved what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what this tablet is all about. Now, the price point on this is $149 to start, and then of course there are a number of different options that you can choose from. Now, what I wanted to do before we jump into the hardware overview is talk about all the different versions of this that are available. So the one that I got is the Plus Edition, but it's largely the same as the entry-level model with two exceptions. This has an extra gigabyte of memory. It's got 4 gigabytes versus 3 on the entry-level model. That extra memory makes it so that you can multitask a little bit better. So if you're frequently jumping around in different apps, this one might feel a little bit quicker because it can keep more stuff in memory. But by and large, I think most casual users won't notice much of a difference. The other big difference, though, on the Plus Edition is that it has wireless charging capabilities. So you can put it down on any Qi-compatible wireless charger and charge it without plugging it in. And Amazon also sells a wireless charging stand for the HD 10 Plus. That allows you, of course, to charge it just by placing it in that stand. And there's a mode on these tablets called Show Mode that I'll demo for you in a little bit that turns these into Echo devices. And that might be a convenient way to make use of that feature with this. You dock it, it charges, and it just turns on that mode. Again, I'll show you that in a minute or two. And then they're also selling this year a keyboard accessory that connects up with the HD 10 tablet. This is kind of your run-of-the-mill Bluetooth keyboard. There's nothing really special about it, but it does feel rather solid, and the keys actually don't feel cheap on it. So it's actually a decent third-party accessory. And the keyboard case here is designed to fit the HD 10 tablet. And there's also a bundle offer that they're selling right now that includes the tablet, the keyboard, and a 1-year subscription to Microsoft 365, which gets you the Office apps for the tablet. The problem, though, when you're running those tablet versions of Office 365 is that you don't get the full feature set that you would get on a computer, although that subscription will also give you the ability to install those computer apps with their more robust features onto a computer if you have one. But I would not consider this a replacement for a computer, but it might be good enough for some folks. Now, most of these tablets are subsidized by advertising. Those ads will appear on your lock screen when you first boot up the tablet, and that's generally where you'll see them. I've never gotten a pop-up ad or something intrusive. They also might put some advertising here on the home screen, but they do, of course, sell a version of this for slightly more money that does not have ads. Now, the tablet itself weighs just over a pound or 468 grams. The keyboard accessory actually weighs more than the tablet does. It is 623 grams or 1 pound 6 ounces. But it's got a decent amount of weight in the keyboard portion here, which I actually think gives it a more rigid feel. It doesn't flex at all when you pick it up. And this back portion is detachable, so you could just use this as a regular Bluetooth keyboard if you wanted to, not only with the tablet, but with other devices too. Now, the build quality on this is decent enough for the price point, nothing spectacular. I have always been impressed with the displays that Amazon packs into these tablets, and this one is no exception. Nice and bright, it's IPS, 10.1 inches, running at 1920 by 1200 with a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. So it works well for web browsing, book reading, game playing, all that kind of stuff. It really looks nice for what you're paying here. Nice contrast ratio too. It's really a surprise when you boot these tablets up and see a display as nice as what you get here. Now, it appears to be running with the same display they put in the prior edition of this tablet that came out about 2 years ago, and the internal specifications are largely the same as well. So this has the same MediaTek MT8183 processor as the prior edition, so it's going to largely perform the same. Again, the new iterations do have more RAM. The entry-level model comes with 3 gigabytes of RAM versus 2 on the prior edition. And then, of course, you've got the Plus edition here with 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is double what they were shipping on the prior iterations. So if you are finding yourself RAM constrained, this might give you a little bit extra memory to work with. But the hardware otherwise feels and looks and performs the same as last year. And usually we see a bump in performance each time they make a new revision, but not this time. Now, they did upgrade the camera on the back of the tablet. It is now a 5-megapixel camera versus 2 on the prior iteration. The image quality, though, is not spectacular, as you can see here. It shoots video, but not all that well, but it will do 1080p at 30 frames per second. So if you need a camera in a pinch, you've got one here, but you're not going to be winning any awards with the photography. There is, of course, a camera on the front. This is pretty much the same as the last iteration. It is a 2-megapixel 720p camera, adequate enough for web conferences and Zoom and that sort of thing. A little bit earlier, I did load up Zoom and did a quick conference call with myself, and that worked fine. But the overall image quality, as you can see on this front camera, isn't great, but again, adequate for the price point and what you might do with it. But one thing I've noticed about Amazon lately is that they're really pushing landscape mode for your video calls because that camera is dead center in the middle of the tablet. So things look a little weird when you have it in portrait mode and you're trying to make a call. The speakers are also here on the top, and of course, they prefer landscape for media consumption, which probably makes sense. They are stereo speakers. You've got left and right separation here. They don't sound all that bad for a low-cost tablet, but of course you can connect headphones via the headphone jack or use Bluetooth headphones if you want better audio quality. There is some expansion here too on the other side. They have a micro SD card slot here, and you can put up to a 1 terabyte card in this. So it might make sense to buy the entry-level storage option, which is 32 gigabytes, and then just get an inexpensive SD card to round out that storage. There is a 64 gig version of the tablet available for a little bit more money. Not much for ports on here, just a USB Type-C port like the prior edition. This is used for charging. It's not a fast charging device. It comes with a 9-watt charger. And the USB port allows you to plug in USB devices like memory sticks and keyboards and mice, but it does not support video output. So it is charging and data devices only. And battery life on the tablet is about where it's been before. Amazon says you get about 10 hours of usage out of it, and I would agree with that for web browsing, video watching, and other light activities. Playing games, of course, will eat into the battery a little bit more significantly. Let's take a look now and see how it performs. Now, it's important to note that these Amazon tablets are running with Android, but Amazon's version of Android. And that means you're not going to find by default the Google Play Store, YouTube, Gmail, and some of the other official Google apps. They are just not going to be available on here. You have to go through Amazon's App Store to get them. But it is Android compatible, so if you know how to sideload apps, you can do that. And there are ways to shoehorn the Google Play Store onto this tablet, and we'll cover that in another video. But those are not officially supported, and it might work one week and then break the next when some update comes through. So just be aware that this is not a true Android experience. Now, this is running Fire OS 7, which is based on Android 9 Pie. I believe the prior edition is also running with that version. They have a web browser here called Silk. Kind of works like any other web browser does. It's just a different name here. And you can see how things perform. We're going to visit the nasa.gov homepage using my Wi-Fi connection. And as you can see here, it's not too bad. Pretty snappy here in rendering websites and whatnot. The 16:10 display, I think, works well for browsing the web in portrait mode here. So looks nice. No big issues to report. And again, it performs about where the prior edition of this performed. Now, I did try Netflix and Prime Video a little bit earlier. Those played back just fine. The tablet makes use of Widevine L1 for its DRM, so you can get 1080p content to display properly. YouTube's a little bit trickier because you have to install this unofficial app that you'll find in the Amazon App Store that's just labeled youtube.com with a blue icon, but it does seem to work just fine. You get a web version of their tablet mobile interface, so it feels a little more sluggish than it otherwise would, but it does play back just fine once you get the video started here. It might just be a little trickier to navigate versus the official app, but the video quality here is fine. And it also will play as a picture-in-picture here when you minimize things. And again, that app looks like this icon right here labeled youtube.com. Now, given that this is running Android, it does have a lot of games available in the Amazon App Store. Just note, though, that if you bought a game on Google, that game will have to be purchased again through the Amazon store as they're not compatible, but they are pretty much the same apps. This is Minecraft running here, runs pretty nicely, no issues to report. I ran a couple of other casual titles that are popular on the App Store, and all of those games ran just fine. But one popular game that did not work on this tablet was Fortnite. I installed the Epic Game Store, which is required for Android devices. The Game Store installed just fine, but Fortnite did not. It's reporting that the tablet is not compatible. And you might run into this a little bit more as more games require versions of Android that go beyond Android 9, which is powering this device. Let's take a look at a benchmark now, the 3D Mark Slingshot test. There we got a score of 1,588. That's right within the margin of error of what we saw on the prior edition of this tablet. That's no surprise because they're running with the same hardware, so you're not getting any performance bumps in this version of the HD10. And if you look at the top of that list there, you'll see the iPad 8th generation 10.2. That is the entry-level iPad at the time I'm recording this video. It performs a lot better, although it does cost a lot more. And I think for what most casual users use a tablet for, these are more than adequate, and oftentimes you can get two of these for what one of those entry iPads will cost. Now, the tablet will also support multiple users, and what I'm going to do here is pull down the menu, tap on the user icon here, and I can switch over to my daughter's account so she can use the same device I do, but have an interface that's designed specifically for kids. So when we go ahead and unlock it here, she's going to get the kids interface because I set her up as a child, and that's going to limit what she can access on the tablet. And then to switch back, we just repeat that process here, and I'll pull down the menu, select my name from the list, and it will ask me, though, for a PIN code. And when you have a child on your tablet, it's going to require a PIN code to unlock the tablet to prevent the child from getting into things that are not appropriate for them. But it's nice to see that there is a whole separate kids interface built into this that will give you a little bit of peace of mind. All right, one last thing to check out here, and those are voice commands. This will summon the Amazon A-word assistant without having to touch anything, even when the tablet is sleeping. We're going to mute that word so I don't set off your devices, but I'm sure you'll understand how to trigger one of these things by now. So what I'm going to do here is just switch it off, and I'm going to ask it to do something. Load up YouTube.
Here's YouTube.
So it turned itself back on. I do have to unlock the tablet with my code because I have kids on it. But there we go. We've got YouTube here loading up, and I can load up any app that way. I can ask it for the weather report and all that stuff. Now, what this will also do is work in a mode called show mode, and I could switch into that mode by just asking it to enable show mode, or I can just push this little button up at the top here, and that will basically turn this into an Amazon Echo device. And if you have one of those wireless charging stands, when you dock the Plus edition in the stand, it will automatically switch into this mode and make it work like an Echo with a big screen. So here it is now sitting at the Echo display here, and I could say to it, show me the garage camera.
Okay.
And this will give us exactly the same type of behavior we would normally see with an Echo Show device. Pretty cool stuff. It will take it a second or two to get my camera pulled up here, but you get the idea as to what you can do with this. So if you were looking at an Echo Show and one of these tablets, this tablet will actually do both for you at the same time, and it looks like the FedEx guy is dropping off some new stuff for me too. Now, when you're in show mode, it puts the tablet interface in the background, but to get it back, you could ask it to exit show mode, or you can just pull down the top menu here like you did before and switch back to your tablet. So altogether, this is very much like the prior edition of this tablet. So if you were looking to upgrade, there's not much to upgrade to here beyond the added memory or perhaps the wireless charging feature on the Plus edition. But it remains a very good value and a very functional device, I think, for what people would typically do with a tablet like this one. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Chris Allegretta, Tom Albrecht, Jim Callagher, Hot Sauce and Video Games, and Brian Parker. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/s.